Guys, we can all agree this transfer window has been amazing so far. Frimpong is already through the door, Florian Wirtz might be officially a red by the time this video goes live, and Kerkez is also on his way to Anfield. On top of that, there are strong reports saying the club are now exploring the striker market, with Darwin Núñez possibly heading out this summer. So what more could we ask for? Well, there's still one position that could turn this from a great window into a perfect one: the midfield. And that's exactly what today's video is all about. We'll be going through 3 midfielders who would be absolute dream signings for us. So if you're excited, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get straight into it. Let's kick things off with a name that's been climbing fast: Adam Wharton. The 21-year-old deep-lying playmaker just wrapped up a standout season at Crystal Palace, and even helped them lift the FA Cup. He's calm under pressure, composed on the ball, and plays with real maturity. He's also left-footed and always scanning, always looking for that forward pass that gets things moving. Honestly, it's no exaggeration to say he's already one of the Premier League's brightest young midfielders. Palace's FA Cup run, he was a massive part of it. So what exactly makes Wharton so special? For starters, his vision and passing range are top tier. He loves to play vertically. We're talking about line-breaking passes from deep that slice through midfield lines and put his team instantly on the attack. According to FBref, he ranks in the top 8% of midfielders across Europe for progressive passes, and is just as impressive when it comes to shot-creating actions. Those numbers speak for themselves. Those numbers really highlight the kind of midfielder Wharton is. Someone who's constantly looking to create chances from deep. He's a distributor in every sense of the word. The kind of player who drops between the centre-backs, receives the ball under pressure, and calmly picks out forward passes to attackers in dangerous areas. What stands out most is his composure. He rarely panics even when pressed, and he always seems to be one step ahead of the play. That awareness comes from his constant scanning. Honestly, his head moves like an owl, always turning, always checking his surroundings so he knows exactly what's happening before the ball even gets to him. Off the ball, Wharton is just as switched on. He's great at anticipating passes into dangerous zones and stepping in to break them up. That anticipation, though, can sometimes get him into trouble. At times, he reads the play a bit too aggressively and can be dragged out of position by clever movement or feints. Still, his overall positional awareness is excellent. He protects space really well and he's sharp at blocking passing lanes. For a 21-year-old, his game sense is already at a very high level. Now, of course, no player is perfect, especially not at his age. Wharton's love for adventurous passing means he takes risks. Sometimes he'll try to force a vertical ball that isn't quite on and end up giving it away. His pass completion rate isn't the highest, but that's mostly because he's attempting the tougher passes most midfielders wouldn't even try. Defensively, there have been some red flags in the scouting reports. He can occasionally switch off when his team is under pressure, and while that's a fairly common issue for young players, it's something he'll need to tighten up, especially if he's going to play for a club where every game feels like a final. Physically, he's not a destroyer. He doesn't go flying into tackles. Instead, he relies on smart positioning and a good read of the game to win the ball back. That's worked well for him at Palace, but stepping up to a title contending side like Liverpool will be a different challenge. His off-ball awareness will need to be sharp from minute 1 to 90. And then there's the experience factor. He's only had 1 full Premier League season so far. Can he handle the pressure of playing at Anfield, where every touch is under the microscope and every match is must win? It's a fair question. And we can't ignore the price tag. With Palace heading into European football next season, and with Wharton still tied down to a long-term contract at Palace, it's going to take a serious fee to get his signature. Without player sales, and with a big chunk of the budget likely going toward Wirtz, this might be one of those moves that has to wait until next summer if he's still at Palace by then. Alright, that's Wharton summed up. Let's move on to a completely different type of midfielder, Carlos Balaba. Now, this is a player who brings a mix of power and energy that would excite any fan. Balaba is just 21, but he's already bossing midfield battles at Brighton. If you haven't seen him play yet, the best way to describe him is a midfield wrecking ball with smooth feet. He's physically built, has stamina for days, and isn't afraid of the big moments. Balaba thrives in chaos. He can go shoulder to shoulder with anyone and come out on top. To give you an idea of his physicality, let's rewind to a game against Manchester City. He came on at halftime and completely changed the tempo. He was out-muscling Erling Haaland, putting pressure on Kevin De Bruyne, and basically bullying City's midfield. Yes, you heard that right. In just one half, Balaba turned a tough match into a battle City couldn't control. That kind of physical presence, especially when paired with his technical ability, is rare for someone his age. Balaba's style is all action. One of his standout traits is his ball carrying. He's constantly looking to drive forward with the ball, and he's actually one of the best in the league at it. On average, he moves the ball 5.2 meters per carry, ranking him among the top 5 defensive midfielders when it comes to progressing the play. That's not just numbers either. You can see it every time he plays. He also boasts a dribble success rate of 57.9%, which puts him right up there with the very best in his position. So he doesn't just bulldoze through players. Balaba's got surprisingly smooth footwork for a guy his size. He'll drop a shoulder, throw in a quick feint, and just glide past defenders through the middle. In fact, he's combined a carry with a successful dribble past an opponent 19 times this season. That's second only to Enzo Fernandez in the entire Premier League. It really shows you how well he blends technique with raw power. When it comes to passing, he's come a long way. Back at Lille, and in his early days at Brighton, he was mainly known for his long-range passing. He was hitting around 80% accuracy on long balls, which is pretty impressive considering how risky those passes are. But now, under a new coach at Brighton, he's added a new layer to his game, like the more line-breaking passes through the middle. We've seen him burst forward and then ping gorgeous through balls to the wingers in stride. So he's not just a runner, he's got his head up and he's looking for that final ball. And defensively, oh man, Balaba loves a challenge. He's aggressive, relentless in the press, and isn't afraid to throw his body in. His tackle success rate is around 1.55 tackles, 1 per 90 minutes, which shows he's winning a good portion of his duels. He'll close you down fast, muscle you off the ball, and then drive forward like a battering ram. He's the kind of player who can completely shift the momentum of a match from the middle of the pitch. Now, we've got to talk about the flip side. As much as Balaba's aggression is a strength, it can also be a weakness. He has a habit of overcommitting to tackles, he'll go all in to win the ball, and when he misses, it can leave a big gap behind him. At Brighton, that sometimes led to the team being exposed, especially when he dived in too quickly. At Liverpool, with our high line, one mistimed tackle in midfield could open the door for the opposition to run straight at our defence. So he'd either need to dial that back a bit, or have teammates around him ready to cover when he steps out of position. Also, while his passing game is coming along, he's still not a polished playmaker, a simpler, smarter one. Basically, he's still figuring out when to slow the game down and when to go full throttle. That's something coaches can definitely work on, but it's worth keeping in mind. And just like with Wharton, price and competition could be major roadblocks. Balaba's performances haven't gone unnoticed. Reports say Brighton value him at over £100 million in today's market. That's a massive fee for Liverpool, especially when we've got other positions to address. Plus, with clubs like Manchester City also keeping tabs, it could quickly turn into a bidding war. We all remember how those Caicedo and Lavia sagas played out, and it wouldn't be a surprise to see a similar situation here. One more thing to consider. Even though Balaba can be developed into different types of midfielders, where does that leave Ryan Gravenberch? At the moment, both players are quite similar. They're press resistant, strong ball carriers, and like to break through lines with their dribbling. So maybe Balaba wouldn't bring the exact qualities we're missing right now, at least not immediately. Let us know what you think in the comments, we'd love to hear your view on this one. Now from raw power, we switch gears to a more refined profile. Last but definitely not least, Angelo Stiller. It's a name that might not stand out much in England yet, but over in Germany, Stiller's reputation has skyrocketed. He's a 24-year-old pivot currently playing for VfB Stuttgart, and back home he's often referred to as the next Toni Kroos. Sounds bold? Sure. But once you watch him play, you start to understand why. He's got that same vision and passing elegance that lets him control the rhythm of a match. Stiller came through the Bayern Munich Academy, which already tells you a lot about the level of technical training he's had. After spells at Hoffenheim and now Stuttgart, he's really come into his own and become one of the Bundesliga's standout midfielders. What makes Stiller special is his blend of creativity and defensive awareness, exactly what you look for in a modern holding midfielder. He plays with a calmness, almost ice cold under pressure, and always seems to find the right pass. You give him the ball in a tight space, and instead of panicking or just clearing it, he'll turn, keep possession, and find a smart outlet. In Germany, many see flashes of Kroos in his style. His passing range is impressive, from short build-up play, long diagonals across the pitch, to delicate chip balls over the top. He's got all of it in the locker. Former teammate Andreas Beck once said that Stiller has the ball glued to his feet and always found solutions. That tells you everything about his football IQ. He's constantly available for a pass, always scanning, and knows exactly how to keep the team ticking. Now, he might not rack up big numbers in goals or assists, but if you actually watch him, you'll see how important he is to Stuttgart's system. He controls the tempo, switches the play with confidence, and delivers progressive passes that might not be the final assist, but often spark the moves that lead to chances. Defensively, Stiller is all about reading the game. He's not the fastest or most physically dominant player out there, but he's got this instinct for being in the right place at the right time. What really stands out is how well he times his interventions. The German press often highlight how cleanly and calmly he wins ground duels. He'll step in just when the opponent thinks they've gotten past him. So picture a player who can steal the ball and instantly flip the script with a quick, accurate pass. That's Stiller in a nutshell. And even though some might assume he's lightweight, that's not really the case. He's about 6 feet tall and holds his own in duels. He's not throwing himself around like Balaba, but he's also not someone who gets brushed off the ball easily. He's got enough strength to handle himself without relying on brute force. Now, what about weaknesses or concerns? The first thing fans tend to point out is pace. Stiller isn't fast. If you're expecting a high-energy midfield engine sprinting all over the pitch, that's not him. In the Premier League, with its intense pace and quick transitions, there's a valid concern that he could get overrun at times, but his supporters would argue that his football brain more than makes up for that. He positions himself so well that he rarely needs to rely on speed. Another thing worth mentioning is that Stiller is heavily left-footed. He rarely uses his right, which can make him a bit predictable when pressed hard. If opponents set pressing traps and force him onto his weaker foot, he'll need to be careful, but plenty of top-level players are one-footed and still thrive. The key is playing to your strengths and staying aware of the pressure. Also, unlike someone like Balaba, Stiller isn't going to physically dominate a midfield battle. If Liverpool are looking for a bruiser, he's not that guy. He's more of a cerebral controller. Ideal when we have possession, but out of possession, he depends more on awareness and positioning than raw power. That said, because of how well he reads the game, I'd say he still meets defensive needs, just in a smarter, more subtle way. And finally, the transfer details. Reports say Stiller has a release clause in the range of 50 to 60 million pounds. Not cheap, but not outrageous either, especially for a 24-year-old international who's performing in a top European league. The catch is, clubs like Real Madrid and Arsenal have also been linked. So, just like with Wharton and Balaba, Liverpool wouldn't have a free run at him. So, there you have it. 3 midfielders with different strengths, styles and price tags, but each one could take our midfield to the next level. Whether it's Wharton's calm control, Balaba's explosive energy, or Stiller's classy playmaking, all of them bring something special to the table. Of course, with the market as crazy as it is, landing any of these guys won't be easy. But if Liverpool want to make this a perfect transfer window, a signing like one of these could be the missing piece. Now we want to hear from you. Out of the 3, who would you want to see in a Liverpool shirt the most? Or is there another dream midfielder you'd go for instead? Drop your thoughts in the comments, we would love to hear them out. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more transfer talk. Until next time.